This is Super Cobra, released in 1983 for Atari 2600 from Parker Brothers, and based on the 1981 Konami arcade game of the same name. Super Cobra is the follow-up shooter release to Scramble, also a 1981 arcade game that pretty much kickstarted the whole Konami shooter legacy, and is also retroactively the first game in the long-running Gradius series. Because, sure, why not, I guess? In Super Cobra, you control a little helicopter thing who must make your way over to the enemy base by traversing 11 sectors of enemies, obstacles, and hard turns, all the while taking out fuel tanks to restore your ever-dwindling supply of fuel. It's like an elongated version of Scramble, which was almost like a side-scrolling river raid, except you're not raiding any rivers, but rather caverns and enemy strongholds with targets that will, eventually, fire back at you. Naturally, if you take a hit, you crash into a wall, or you run out of fuel, you lose a life. And if you lose all your lives, it's game over. But, oh, what's this? Continue? Oh yeah, Super Cobra was one of the first games that let you continue your game at a cost of a credit and your high score, and that feature has been retained in this Atari port, which is rather nice if you want to try to reach the end of the game, as it were. Something a little more forward-thinking for those late-blooming game kids who cared more about beating their games than scoring high in them. Though you loop back to the beginning after clearing the last stage, so really it's just a matter of bragging rights, I suppose. So Super Cobra had a thing where you had both a fire button to fire your guns straight ahead, and a bomb button to drop bombs for hard-to-reach ground targets. The stock Atari joystick, however, only had one button. So the way it works is that pressing the button alternates fire modes. Press once to fire straight ahead, and press again to drop a bomb, then press again to fire ahead, or again to bomb, and you get the idea. Super Cobra also has a thing where if you have a shot on screen and you fire the same shot again, that shot gets cancelled out and you fire the new shot, because you could only have one shot of one type on screen. So if you fire your guns and then you fire it again, the previous shot disappears and a new shot comes out. Anyone remember the laser gun from Contra on NES? The one everyone hates because you couldn't rapid fire the thing because it never goes far enough? But the trick is you actually don't press the button again while the laser's on screen for it to travel the fair distance. Because otherwise if you do, the laser cancels out and you fire a new one. That's pretty much how firing works in Super Cobra on 2600. So you have this weird mechanic where you have to time your shots as you're alternating fire modes to hit your intended targets, and it's a really awkward compromise, but it kinda sorta works if you get the rhythm down. Super Cobra offers 3 modes of speed, which affects the scrolling rate. Slow is obviously slow, medium is middle of the road but still manageable, and fast is full impulse power, and also fairly challenging. But never to the extent where I feel you could blame things on bad controls or piss-poor collision detection, because in both cases, things are actually quite tight in Super Cobra. The graphics are rather plain looking, but are serviceable enough. You can make out the enemy rockets and the fuel tanks, the HUD retains all the important information, the scrolling effect is a bit staggered, a bit on the janky side of things, but it's not so bad that you can't move your way around. I could do without the droning of your chopper's rotors, that gets a bit annoying to listen to after a while. Other than that, you got some minor sounds and the usual Super Cobra jingles have been retained for this release, so it's not all bad. Overall, Super Cobra on Atari 2600 is, it's okay, I guess. There are some compromises made to make this playable on the VCS that might turn some players away, but if you could put up with some of the quibbles, there is an enjoyable yet quaint little shooter to be found here. Probably not the best version of Super Cobra out there. There's probably an Arcade Archives release you could get for a few bucks, but certainly not one of the lower quality 2600 titles. This one flies somewhere in the middle, and that's perfectly fine.